Power to peace. What does that mean to the Lamasery? What does that mean to you personally?
Well, it's all tied into the second coming and the second birth that Master Rabbi Jesus alluded to, Jimmy. He said, he was the incarnation of the Word, but in the second coming, it's all about the power. I remember the first time that I met the Lama Master was in Soho, Washington Square, New York City. 1975, walked up to me, grabbed me by the inside of my forearm, and he just pulled me toward him. Now, right before that, I saw animals around him reacting in a way that later I would learn that when you have squirrels, especially squirrels and birds, normally if they feel any kind of aggression or fear, they turn away from people. That's why when people walk into parks, they can feel their fear and aggression. But the animal kingdom and the humans, there were about 12 to 15 humans there that day taking class. It was a Saturday morning. And when he went to rise up, there was like gravity did not affect him. It was like he was over the law of gravity. He just rose up as if he was like a puppet and a string from above pulled him by the top of his head. He kind of floated to me. He grabbed my arm. He pulled me in and he said, Rasaji, what took you so long? And that kind of stunned me. But what I noticed is that energy shot into my stomach, went through my arms as if somebody would have shot me full of Novocaine. And all of a sudden, my limbs went weak. And what I noticed about this guy, he had power, but he also had peace. And he reminded me of an Asian version of what I would imagine St. Francis of Assisi being like, right? He's bald head. He had the Fu Manchu. And as I began to work with him, later when I was in the monastery, I learned something very interesting, that the Tai Chi Gong basically means give power to peace. And I asked him one day, what did he mean about that? He said, oh, little Lama, he would tease me way before I was Lama, and he would call me little Lama. He would say, oh, people have problems with their peace. He says they have problems with their inner peace. And I said, really? He said, yeah, if they could face up and embrace their peace, everything in their life would change. And I asked him, what did he mean about that? And he said, well, Master Rabbi Jesus was quoted with all the promises that we were to receive after we achieved a state of peace. Find it very interesting. One of the most ancient of all mantras, recitation, going all the way back to Japa Yoga, which you're basically talking 40, 50,000 years ago, Jimmy, where they would recite one bead at a time. The word Om is referred to as the seed mantra, but what it means is give power to. That's why it's used a lot of times, and then the mantra. Well, one of the most oldest of all mantras, the Sanskrit word Shanti, right, means peace, like salam in Hebrew. So when you put Om in front of Shanti, right, and it sounds a little bit like this, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. And you can feel that vibration of peace. But watch this, Jimmy. When we look at the testimonies on the 45-day challenge, the most common words we hear is, oh my God, I was in the 5th day or the 10th day or the 15th day. And all of a sudden I started feeling enormous amount of peace and well-being. So to get Christ's promises, the fertile ground of the spirit, mind, and body, which in India they call the true chanda, we have to prepare to peace. Can you imagine the contrast, the paradox? Everybody in the world today is trying to assume some form of power. And usually it's the power over my brother and
Yes.
my
Yes.
sister to exercise my own personal agenda. Imagine if we teach millions of people to embrace their peace and come into their own power through this peaceful pathway we call Tai Chi Gun.